Shalom, Yasharallah, Yahawada, Brother Malak, back with a biblical lesson. I'm a man of many gifts and talents, but there's nothing like the gift of prophesying. And what is prophesying? Prophesying is to foretell or to give a foreshadowing before something takes its course or takes place. Basically a consistent prediction, if you will. And this is going to be one of my favorite topics and lessons within this truth, this knowledge, this wisdom. And this is the angels, the chariots. And honestly, when you know that you're being watched, it gets you, it keeps you straight, I should say, for the lack of better terms. It keeps you straight, even though we're in this flesh suit, and we go off, as it states in Galatians 5:16-17 and other scrolls, how the spirit battles the flesh and the flesh battles the spirit. But when you know that you're being watched by the ones on high, the righteous powers, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and the angels, it steers you straight. It keeps you straight, because you know we're not alone. We're not alone, and everybody is being watched. And like I always say in lessons past, nobody gets away scot-free. I'll say it again. Nobody gets away scot-free. And I'll say it a third time. 3 is the spiritual number. Nobody gets away scot-free. We will all be judged. We're all being watched by the righteous powers that be in that sea. And that is Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, who the world or the people in the world ignorantly calls Jesus and God. But this lesson is going to be about the chariots, man. The chariots, the angels, the chariots of Yasharallah, the chariots of Yahawada, the chariots of Israel. It's no denying the fact, or it's no denying that what these devils call the UFOs and UAPs and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It's no denying the fact that these entities, these spiritual phenomena, these angelic vehicles are nothing but the angels that's recorded all through the scriptures, or recorded through different scroll texts in the scriptures, but technically all through the scriptures. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. So let's get to it. This is a report from some guy, I forget his name. He's an Edomite from the stock of Esau. But he's a good source. They're all good sources. This is Esau. We're in the second Rome. America is Rome all over again. America is every wicked society all over again. Rome, Greece, Egypt, Assyria, Babylon. It's all over. Regeneration. But he goes into the UFOs, or the UFO, if you will, specifically, and he touches bases on it. And he states that this UFO, many of them state, it's not only him, it's a couple of these Edomites that state that these UFOs when they hover over these nuclear sites, these ICBM missile sites, that they have the power to turn off the missiles. So that's a hint right there that these entities are righteous entities. Because if they were wicked entities, then they'll just let you stupid, silly humans just run amok. And better yet, they'll just launch the missiles. They'll let the nuclear missiles go off instead of shutting the missiles down. But you see in these videos that I'm about to, show you, these UFOs, they turn off the missiles. They hover over these ICBM sites, and they turn off the nukes. They dismember the nukes. So that's telltale sign, or that's a telltale sign that these entities, these spiritual entities, or angelic vehicles, if you will, they are the angels of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. I don't want to be too long on the matter. Let's get to it.
And he was a good friend of his. Even before he passed away, we had many, many conversations on the subject. And he was just a very incredible man. What I mean by missiles going down, they were not in a launch. They were in the missile silos, and they were being, I don't know what SAC does as far as activating a missile is concerned, but it's basically on a standby mode, so it can be launched. But when they say it went down, it means it went dead. And something turned those missiles off, and so they could not be put in a mode of launching. And he's a good friend of his.
So he basically states that these UFOs, or a UFO, it dismembered or turned off some nukes that were set in a nuclear site. That's a telltale sign, like I said earlier, that these entities are righteous, logical thinking entities. And we know who they are. It's Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. It's Yahweh. That's who it is, man. And his angels. And he sends the angels to go forth in the earth, in the third realm, to monitor and watch over us silly mortals. Even to us Israelites. Even though we are the chosen holy seed, the Dem de la Creme, even we get silly and are silly mortals, let alone the Gentiles, let alone the heathen nations. Let's carry on.
Officer, sometime in the evening hours on March 24th, I received a call from one of my topside guards, the flight security controller, stating that they had been observing strange lights in the sky making odd maneuvers. He called back about 5 minutes later. This time he was screaming into the phone saying they're looking at a red glowing object hovering just above our front gate. Our missiles began going into what's called a no-go condition, or unlaunchable. Essentially, they were disabled while this object was still hovering over our site. Good afternoon, officer. Sometime in the evening.
So this guy was somewhere in, I believe,
officer,
some military base in, I forget the actual location, but he was somewhere in some location at a military site, nuclear site. And the same thing happened again. The same phenomenon happened again. These UFOs, as they call them, which we know the prophets, because we got to be the prophets. If we're not the prophets, then who are the prophets? We're talking about the prophets, the true prophets of the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the 12 tribes. We know the book. We know the book the prophecies. We have the spiritual Isaiah. We have the Rakah Kadash that sups with us and that shows us, the secrets. And now you people have the secrets as well, because we're telling you over these digital airwaves, over these, over the internet, the unicorn, if you will, as the apostles, the elders put it. So everybody knows, and everybody can technically get into the know if you really want to know. And if you know, you know. But carrying on.
Sometime in the evening hours on March 24th, I received a call from one of my topside guards, the flight security controller, stating that they had been observing strange lights in the sky making odd maneuvers. He called back about 5 minutes later.
Yeah, and this is, these are the angels, but I played that already. Let's grab something else.
And encounters, with much investigation of them from 1947 and even earlier. In September of 1966, I was a Minuteman ICBM launch control officer and deputy commander of a launch crew stationed at Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota. I was involved in a UFO incident at that time where a flying object tampered with and took down a total of 10 nuclear-tipped ICBM missiles.
10 missiles.
By rendering them unlaunchable.
Tom Rogan is one of the rare...
So this is what this UFO, or this is what these UFOs do. So they're not wicked entities, because like I said earlier within the lesson, something that's wicked, something that's devious, it would turn on the missiles and let you silly mortals run amok, let you silly mortals run it up, let you just kill each other if these entities wasn't righteous entities. So we see that these are righteous entities. These are what the Bible calls, what the biblical scrolls call the angels. And one of the little politician guys, he's an Edomite, but I forget his name, but he be saying it too. He be like, read the scroll book of Ezekiel. If you read the scroll book of Ezekiel, you'll comprehend and learn to understand what these spiritual entities are, these angels. They got different, I don't know, Yahweh does what he does, man. He make them come in different shapes, fashions, forms. Hey, man, he's Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. Yahweh can do what he want to do. But you have sightings of them being tic-tac, orb, light, bright light, disc shape, saucer shape, long shape, cylinder shape. Yahweh can make them look how you want them to look and make them move how you want them to move, man. You see, you hear, can you conceive, do you believe?
The unthinkable happens.
The lights turned from green to red. In other words, red meaning unlaunchable.
Everything went red.
All 10 missiles were disabled, every single one of them.
So what does that mean?
It means if we were given the order and if we had to go through our launch procedures, they couldn't be launched.
The unthinkable happens.
So there you have it. And that's enough on that one. Well, you know what? This is one of my favorite ones right here. I gotta grab this, man. This Edomite right here, man. I can tell he wasn't he wasn't playing, man. He was really up there. He really saw what he saw. And every time I watch him, it's funny because Esau and the rest of these heathen nations, they just don't know the judgment that's about to come for what they have done to Yahweh's people, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians. And when we talk about you Indians, we're talking about you Native Indians, you indigenous Indians, you indigenous Aztecs, you indigenous Mayans, you indigenous Incas, you indigenous Taino Indians, the Israelite prototypes. We're not talking about you Spaniards, man. When we say the Latinos and Latins are the Israelites, we're not talking about Spaniards. We're not talking about you Spaniards. Not talking about you Edomites, you conquistadors, you Edomites, man. I'm just telling you the truth. When we talk about the northern kingdom of Israel, the Latinos and Native Indians, we're talking about you indigenous Aztecs, you indigenous Mayans, you indigenous Incas, you indigenous Taino Indians, you indigenous North American Indians, Chippewa, Cherokee, Choctaw, Seminole Indians, you Gadites, you Reubenites, you Ephraimites, Issacharites. Talking about the tribes, man, the royal people. But this guy's good. Right here.
It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead, which is represented by my thumb here. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, and then this thing flies up like this. Meanwhile, we're all going like this, fires another beam of light, goes around like this, we're going like this, fires another beam of light, goes down like this, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, I saw that. I don't give a goddamn what anybody else says about it. I saw that on film. Phil Klass can kiss my ass. He wasn't there. I was. Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO." And into the frame came something else.
Correction. It looks like to me, we have angels, flying rows, Ophiums. I believe these are the Ophiums. The wheels within the wheels, the Ophium angels. That's what we have. And that's what Yahushai Hamashiach, Yahushai is coming back with. It's coming back with the Ophium and the elect and the angels and glory and great power. It's gonna be way more iller, way more dramatic than your favorite Hollywood film. So let's grab the prophecies. Let's jump into the scrolls. Let's open up the ancient texts. These books and ancient texts and prophecies have been here way before us. But yet, we're blessed with the spiritual eyesight to break them down, comprehend them, believe them, receive them, and understand them. If we ain't the prophets, then who are the prophets? When we out there on those highways and hedges, when we doing these digital breakdowns, these biblical lessons, when you talking about the word to mouth with people, and you understanding the prophecies and breaking them down and precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, you really have been given the Rakak Kadash to understand these spiritual matters. And what's more, you can't get no more high rank than spiritual matters. The spiritual realm is the highest rank in existence, in manifestation. That's why, I tend to say our rank is way higher than what you people believe, man. But I digress. Let's get into these prophecies. 2nd Esdras 13, it says, which is the Apocrypha, in which these devils, the Bible destruction group, they took out these books, these prophecies. So 2nd Esdras 13, it says, verse 6, it says, "But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself." Matter of fact, I'll start at verse 5. 2nd Esdras 13:5. It says, "And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea." And we know that sea is talking about the sky. This goes back to Genesis, where it talks about the firmament, the waters above dividing the waters below. So when it says, these armies, these are the heathen armies, these Gentile armies, and not only just the Gentiles, the heathens, but you Israelites are going to be in these armies and these militaries and sections and sectors as well. And you're going to be fighting your own king and savior, you idiots. It's 2 Ezra 13:5. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the men that came out of the sea, the waters above, the waters below. The firmament divides the waters above, the waters below. So that's what it means when he's coming out of the sea. He's coming from above. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. That is that UFO. That is the mega UFO. And there's pilots that have seen these mega UFOs, or at least they state that they have mega UFOs in the air, mega UFOs in the oceans, in the waters. They call it the mothership, which is really the fathership. But you get the drift. It says 2 Ezra 13, prophecy. That's our profession. We have been set up in this time and lot to prophesy. And this is truly our profession, to bring out these prophecies. Highways and hedges, word to mouth, or on these digital epistles. I can't see it no different. It says 2 Ezra 13:6. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain. That is a UFO, or what they call a UFO. It says, and flew up upon it. It says, but I would have seen the region. This is Prophet Ezra, a Levite. The Levite, Prophet Ezra, or Edris in the Greek. And this is what he's getting. He's getting the download of the prophecy. It says, but I will have seen the region, or the place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So Edris is explaining how he's seeing this mega spacecraft, if you will. We all of the apostles, disciples, prophets, we all say the greatest movie is the Independence Day. Depicts this prophecy well. So that's basically how Prophet Ezra is describing the matter. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him, these are these armies, were so afraid, and yet did fight. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. It says, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as he had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Sparks and tempests, that's fire. This is laser fire, flaming breath. Ezra has to explain what he's seeing with his time, with the words and interpretations in his time. So those more than likely are like laser beams or lasers or concentrated fire. It says, and all they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight. And that multitude of men are these armies from all of these nations that's going to turn on Yahweh. Well, not so much. Well, yeah, turn. They're going to turn from fighting each other, because Yahweh Shai is going to come in the midst of World War III. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be like some Hollywood movie stuff, but to the 100th power. It says, so as they fighting, he's going to appear in the midst. It says, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flame of breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burnt them up, every one, so that upon a sudden Of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So Prophet Ezra's, same thing. Prophet Ezra is basically giving you the 411 on this future prophecy that's coming to pass. So that's what it is. Let's grab some more prophecy. Prophecy. What is the testimony of Yahushai Hamashiach? What is the testimony of Hamashiach Yahushai? It is the spirit of prophecy. And it's not by chance that you keep seeing all of these UFO sightings, and it's the UFO sightings, which they're angels, the angel sightings, angels. It's not by chance that the angel sightings they're picking up heavier and heavier each year. Each year, as we dwindle down, the sightings, they get heavier and heavier, and the world wax wickeder and wickeder. Information gets thicker and thicker. It's all prophecy, man. This is the scriptures. This is the movie. The movie is playing out. It says Prophet Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 15 through 16. It says, "For behold, Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many." Those chariots of fire is what you call the UFOs. That's just what it is. Let's grab some more prophecy. More prophecy. Revelations chapter 1, verse 7. It says, "Behold, he comes with clouds." These are the angels, UFOs, UAPs, these sightings that these pilots that they have seen for decades. These same UFOs that have been turning off these nuclear missiles, and hovering and harassing these military bases and pilots. These are the clouds, the angels, the Ophium angels, the watchers. Esau knows what these things are, man. You know, the Edomites that's really in the know, they know what these angels are, man. It says Revelations 1:7, it says, "Behold, he come with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Amen." So this is future prophecy. This is what's coming. Yahushua is coming back with thousands upon thousands of UFOs, if you will, in which we know that they're called the angels. Matthew 24:30, verse 31, it says, "And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man." Who is the Son of Man? That's Yahushua Mashiach, "in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn." I believe that's everybody. It says, "And they shall see the Son of Man," Yahushua Mashiach, who people ignorantly call Jesus Christ, "coming in the clouds," the chariots, a fathership, if you will, of heaven, with power and great glory. So he's coming in this spaceship with power and great glory. It's not Spike Lee. I always say Spike Lee. Spike Lee is a great actor and director, but he's a Jake Israelite. But I get him mixed up with Stan Lee. Not Spike Lee, but Stan Lee. Where do you think Stan Lee, which is an Edomite, where do you think he gets his interpretations and an imaginary creativity from the Bible? Marvel, all of that good stuff from the prophecies. Stan Lee can't even direct this Stan Lee wouldn't be able to direct how good Yahweh is about to unveil and release Yahweh Shai Mashiach and the angels and the 144,000 and the prophecies. Who's another decent director? What is it? Is it Dan Snyder? Is his name Dan Snyder? I could have butchered that, but I know his last name is Snyder. You know, he directs the superhero type of movies as well. Dan Snyder, Zack Snyder. You know, if you know, you know. But Stan Lee, Snyder, they couldn't direct a dramatic event like this. They couldn't direct one like this, the way Yahweh is about to play out these prophecies in these scriptures. It says, Matthew 24:30, it says, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, the UFOs, the angels, the Ophium. These angels are actually called Ophium. You have different ranks in the spiritual realm with the angels. You have the seraphim, the cherubim, and the Ophium. And these, I'm fixed to believe that these UFOs, in which we call them, but these are the Ophium that travels around the earth. You know, Esau is not the only one with his aircrafts. Man, Esau is not God, man. You people put Esau as he is God or something, man. He's a man. He's a mortal. He's not the only one with aircraft. Who do you think gave him the intelligence, the mental fortitude to come up with aircraft? Don't worry, I won't wait. Matthew 24:31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. It says, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And that elect is from the house of Judah and the house of Israel, those Israelites. But let's grab more prophecy, precept upon precept, line upon line. Let's jump to the next prophecy. Next prophecy. Let's grab Ezekiel, prophet Ezekiel, chapter 1. It says, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. It says, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of fire. It says, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures, and this was their appearance. It says they had a likeness of a man. And man, we actually have the view of that angel that Ezekiel is talking about. This is really this is called the Ophium. This angel is called the Ophium.
Others speculated.
And remember, Ezekiel said it had a fire of amber, like a light enfolding itself, and a wheel of a wheel. This is the Ophium angel that they caught.
About whether the object could signal contact with intelligent beings from another world. Unsurprisingly, the viral nature of the Havana UFO footage generated intense public reaction.
The same way Prophet
Social
Ezekiel
media
explained it.
buzzed with
It's the same way this
discussions
angel
ranging from
looked.
awe-inspired admiration to outright skepticism. Some
Look at the
users
wheel
praised
within
the
the
quality
wheel.
of the recording, calling it one
The
of the
amber
best
of light.
images I've ever
You see the
seen.
wings.
Others dismissed it
If
as
you
a
get
hoax
closer,
or
you'll
natural
probably see the
phenomenon
eyes, if you can
misinterpreted
get
by
any
excited
closer.
witnesses. Despite differing opinions, the
Can't make this.
programs.
You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make this stuff up. The fact that you walking and talking and breathing and can see everything else and just be in manifestation is the very proof that something way more powerful than us exists. The very fact that you can do this is proving that something way more powerful exists. Just can't get around it. Just can't get around it. But back to the prophecy, Ezekiel 1, it says, "And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. A brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, and out of the midst of out of the midst of the fire." It says, "Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures." So this is the Ophium. I told you that there's a hierarchy, a ranking in the spiritual realm. You know, you have Yahweh, Yahushai, the Sephrium, the I believe the Sephrium is what I don't want to misquote, but the Sephrium, the the cherubim, the Ophium, and whatnot. It says, and the thrones. These are the ranks, the spiritual ranks of the angels. It says, "Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had their likeness of a man." It says, "And every one had four faces, and every one had four wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass." It says, "And they had the hands of a man under their wings on the four sides, and they four had their faces in their wings." It says, "Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, the four had the face of a man, and the face of a lion on the right side, and they four had the face of an ox on the left side. The four also had the face of an eagle." So these are the angels. These are the angels. And these devils know. They know the prophecies. They know these angels exist. They know the Israelites exist. You can't tell a lie unless you know the truth. You can't tell a lie unless you know the truth. They know who the Israelites are. They know you blacks, Hispanics, and Indians are the Israelites. They know you are the children of Israel. They know these UFOs are the angels. I'm talking about those, the Edomites or the heathens that's really in the know. I'm talking about the ones that really know what's going on, that really know prophecy. They always knew who we was. Can't tell a lie unless you know the truth. Carrying on. Zechariah chapter 5, verse 1, it says, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll, a Ophium." That flying roll is an Ophium angel. And this is what these pilots and people are catching on these sightings, these UFOs, these flying rolls. And I've seen these angels for myself in my own lifetime. So I know they're true, and I know they exist. I got my own personal sightings. That's just Yahweh giving me more confirmation of his existence and of his words. But like the prophecy says, man, the faithful were given the faith in the womb. Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed thee in your mom's belly, before you came out of your father's scrotum into your mom's belly, womb, I formed thee." So the faith is a gift. Everybody can pick up this scroll or these scrolls and have faith in them and have belief in them. Not only just having faith and belief in them, but be able to break them down and comprehend and understand. But I digress. Zechariah 5, it says, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll, an angel, a Ophium. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stilleth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, said Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief." Who is the biggest thief on the earth? And where are all of the sightings supposedly, happening? That the North America, and everybody should know how North America was established. It says, and in the house of him that swear falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. Can't make this stuff up. It's in the Bible. Can't make this stuff up. Can't make this stuff up, man. It's truly prophecy. Let's grab Luke chapter 9, verse 34 through 35. It says, while he thus spoke, you know what? I'll start at 33. It says, Luke 9, it says 33. It says, and it came to pass as they departed from him, Peter said unto Yahushua, Master, is it good for us to be here? And let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. Not knowing what he said, verse 34 says, while he thus spoke, there came a cloud. There came a cloud. They're sitting here with Yahushua Mashiach. They already done seen the wonderful works and all of the power that Mashiach Yahushua have done and did. It says, while he thus spoke, there came a cloud and overshadowed them. And they feared as they entered into the cloud. If you with Yahushua, the man of the hour, why would you fear a rain cloud, a storm cloud? You got to put stuff in context. You got to put stuff in perspective. It says, while he thus spoke, there came a cloud, and it overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. It was a spaceship, in which they call a UFO. It says, and there came a voice out of the cloud saying, this is my beloved son, hear him. Precept upon precept, line upon line, man. You can't make this stuff up. And second Esdras just told you that he's coming back in a cloud, a spaceship. And not only that, let's grab what is the next? Let's grab precept upon precept, prophecy upon prophecy, prophecy upon prophecy. Let's grab Acts 1 as well. Acts chapter 1 verse Acts 1. This is when they never want to come get Acts. What's they say? Acts 1:11. I'll start at verse 9. It says, Acts 1 verse 9. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up. Actually, that's the point right there. That's the spirit right there. It says Acts 1:9. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, so and I forget verbatim who this was, but it was the Israelites, probably the disciples more than likely. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, and he was taken up, and a cloud, Acts 1:9, and a cloud, the same cloud that we have been seeing all throughout these precepts. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. A cloud received them out of their sight. Remember what it said in Luke 9. It says, while he thus spoke, there came a cloud, and it overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. So here you have it, man. Precept upon precept, line upon line. This cloud is what you call, or what we call, it's really a Ophium. It's really an angel, an angelic transport, but we call it a UFO or UAP or whatever, spaceship, spacecraft. And this is what these Edomites and these heathens have been seeing in the heavens. Acts 1:11, it says, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven. How was he taken up? He was taken up through a cloud, through a spacecraft, spaceship, UFO. It says, shall so come in like manner as you have seen him go into heaven. So the angel that was standing there told them, the same way Yahushua went up is the same way he's coming back. And how do we know that? Precept upon precept, line upon line. This is the same prophecy that was said to Prophet Ezra in 2nd Esdras 13 on how Hamashiach Yahushua is coming back. And I'll read it again and I'll end it with the clip. 2 Ezra 13:5, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue that man. That man is Yahweh Shah Mashiach, the man of the hour, the prodigal son. But I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain, a spacecraft, a spaceship, and flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So this spacecraft was so huge that Ezra, he didn't know where it was coming or going. It flooded the sky. You know, some real, for those brothers that play Halo, the Covenant versus the Spartans and et cetera, man. Art imitates reality. Art imitates reality. So let's grab the clip and we'll end it with the clip, because you can't make this stuff up. These pilots, the military, they're telling you it's all out. Let's grab that. Luke 12. What is that? Luke 12:2. Let's grab that. Luke 12:2. It says, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. So you can't hide nothing, man. Nobody gets away scot-free, and you can't hide nothing. Everything will be revealed in the eyes of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Luke 12:2, for there is nothing covered that shall be not revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. And this is why your Pentagon, this is why they declassified, and they had to fess up and tell you stupid Americans, and I call you stupid because you Americans, they can come out and tell you the most truth out of the truth. And majority of you Americans, you still wouldn't bat an eye. You still wouldn't even take heed. You see? But let's get back to the clip. I'll end it with the clip.
It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead, which is represented by my thumb here. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, and then this thing flies up like this. Meanwhile, we're all going like this, fires another beam of light, goes around like this, we're going like this, fires another beam of light, goes down like this, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, I saw that. I don't give a goddamn what anybody else says about it. I saw that on film. Phil Klass can kiss my ass. He wasn't there. I was. Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, were you guys screwing around up there? And I said, no, sir. And he said, what was that? And I said, it looks to me like we got a UFO.
It looks to me that, or it looks like to me, we have angels on the scene. With that, I'm going to say, Call Halam La Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakadash Abad Babal.